Hi, I'm Magda from Interiors Exteriors. In this episode, I'll reveal how a 24 square meter studio apartment was renovated for 10,000 zlotys. The key problem from my perspective is that there's a washing machine connection here, but no space for a washing machine. I don't know how you would even put it anywhere here. Maybe you could connect it here sometimes when you use it, but that still seems like a rather inconvenient solution. That's why the plan is to build a wall here, extending from the bathroom wall and make a straight kitchenette in this spot. A straight kitchenette will be more convenient because a corner cabinet is not the most comfortable cabinet you can imagine. And thanks to this wall, there will be a wardrobe or storage space here, where at the end you can put a washing machine since the water is close by. And on the other side, you can also make shelves for various clothes and things that need to be stored. There's usually nowhere to hide a vacuum cleaner or similar items. Now, it might seem like the wardrobe won't fit here, but that's because the old kitchen was moved out a bit. There won't be much space here. The washing machine will stick out a lot here, depending on the model, so it might have to open straight forward. However, I'm planning to use openwork shelving systems, so everything should fit in nicely.
As you can see, there's a renovation mess here.
But this apartment in Stara Kamienica was actually created a few years ago, not several decades ago. It's tiny! But since it's already here, you have to somehow adapt it for living so that it's comfortable. And here, as you can see, with this corner kitchen, there's not really even space for a cooktop or a refrigerator. And you'd still have to squeeze a washing machine in here somewhere. That wouldn't be a good solution. This apartment has a rectangular layout, almost square, with a cutout for the bathroom. There are 2 windows with a view of greenery, making it very pleasant, but the door placement is a downside. Because they're in the corner, very close to this wall. There's no way to put a closet behind them, so it's harder to use that space in the corner of the room. Thank you. Hello to you all, and I'm asking about renovations that will take up beautiful, very intense songs, but this story for another time, just see how it turned out. As I announced, a new wall was built here where we made the kitchen, and behind the wall there's a small walk-in closet with space for the washing machine. The washing machine will be here. There's a drain, a connection, and here is a rod for clothes, depending on how many space it takes up. The washing machine takes, that's how much space will be left on the rod, and above there are shelves. And importantly, their height is adjustable. So if someone doesn't want to, if they'd rather do their laundry at a laundromat or wash something by hand, they can lower those shelves and have them at a different height. If someone is taller than me, they can adjust those shelves for themselves. Higher up, it's not a problem, you just lift it and secure it on a different height. But maybe I'll do it the way it was. This way, and it's done. As for the kitchen itself, as you can see, it's not very big. Here's a cabinet for a plant. Here's a cabinet with a shelf, and there are 2 drawers. One is for a frying pan, like under the oven, and this drawer is for cutlery. So even though the kitchen is small, it has a drawer. And do you remember that episode with the corner kitchen, which maybe wasn't very big, but definitely not small either? And yet, there wasn't a single drawer with a glass front there. Exactly. Here we managed to find space for them. And there are also 2 hanging cabinets, so you can conveniently store all the dishes. The cooktop has 2 burners and there's an oven, so you can make dinner in 3 places at once. For example, use pots, pans, or bake cutlets. So there's no problem preparing a big dinner. And at the same time, because the stove is smaller, there's more space on the countertop. At first, I planned to have a neutral wallpaper above the countertop, something beige, for example. Because, after all, it's a rental apartment. However, the owner chose this pattern, which is actually really nice. and I think it fits in here quite well. However, unfortunately, it was installed with white silicone. It may not stand out from a distance, which I hope. Still, the bottom could be better. A different color combined with this beige wallpaper doesn't match. As you can see, there's also an armchair with an office here. It was already here, and it's a fold-out armchair. So for now, there's no point in taking it away from here, because it might just come in handy, and you can always take it out later. Sometimes there's a basement. You can just put it there, but let them stay there for free. Usually, things like that get picked up quickly. So it's not a problem. And even if they stand in the corner, really decent furniture. A chair that converts to a bed. Super functional. It's a shame there aren't more like this in stores today, since I think it's a great option. I rarely discuss this topic in my videos, but I think it's important. The view from the window. Here, on one side, we have a courtyard tenement and a view of another tenement building, but it's in the distance. It's not like the windows are facing each other and you can look right in. There's a certain distance. If someone waves at the window, you can see them, but privacy is still maintained. And there's also a big tree growing here, so it's really nice. And these are south-facing windows. So a lot of light comes in during the day. There's a new shower cabin in the bathroom. The last one lacked shower doors. I know that some people deal with it by installing a curtain, but it's not that convenient, especially when the shower tray is small. The curtain can stick to your body. For me, for example, it's a very unpleasant feeling, that material against wet skin. It's terrible. So definitely doors will also be more watertight. And it was important to do them here. There's also new silicone, new grout, just so nothing leaks. That's crucial in a bathroom. On this side, however, there's no old mirror, which used to be quite small here. Instead, there's a mirrored cabinet, providing easily accessible extra shelves for items. Even in this small bathroom, there will be space for your cosmetics. Also, there's a lamp, so we have pleasant lighting here. There's also overhead lighting, but I don't turn it on because it activates the fan. And for filming, that noise isn't nice. And now a change, or actually no change, which will probably surprise you. And it surprised me as well because I felt those were crucial things to replace in the bathroom. It's the mirror, the lamp above the sink, and the toilet seat. And yet the toilet seat stayed because it's just very solid. There's no point in replacing it. A white one would probably be a more aesthetic choice for the bathroom, but functionality comes first. And at a time when the renovation budget was really tight, replacing something that works and is really solid just didn't make sense. A few more words about the cost because you're probably curious. The team that built the wall charged $4,500. The building materials cost about $1,500. I don't remember exactly anymore. The kitchen cost around $1,500 plus appliances, which is where expenses can really add up. However, the owner brought in used appliances that were in good working condition, just secondhand. And the cooktop cost about 220 zlotys, if I remember correctly. The oven was 80 and the hood was 70. So as you can see, these are huge savings compared to new appliances, which can cost thousands. And here, I think the whole renovation cost a total of several thousand, between 10 and 15, but I haven't calculated it exactly yet. So these are just rough estimates. Finally, I'd like to say something a bit unpopular, because nowadays, in the era of homesteading, there's a lot of talk about improving the quality of an apartment just to rent it out for a higher price. Here, the standard of this apartment has been greatly improved. However, it wasn't done to jack up the prices. And the listing was posted while the renovation was still ongoing, with information about what was planned to be done here and at a lower price, so that we wouldn't have to wait until the renovation was finished, then take photos, then post the listing, and only rent it out a month later. That month makes a difference, and it's better to rent it out a bit cheaper but a month earlier, because over the course of a year, it comes out to the same amount. And the tenant is happy because they can pay less, and the owner is happy because they resolve the matter faster. That's all for this video. I wish I could have shown you more, but I just physically couldn't manage it. I'm still very much in post-renovation mode, and I have paint in my hair here. It was really intense. And I wouldn't have been able to combine the renovation with filming and keep up the pace we had because we finished this apartment in 5 days. A total of 5 people worked on it. Although, of course, at different times, because it would have been hard to work all at once in 24 square meters, so we divided up the tasks, but we managed, so that's a success. I'm really happy about it, and I think it's also a great inspiration, both in terms of how you can save a bit during a renovation, for example, by buying things secondhand, and how by closing off a space, leaving a wall in a small area, you can actually increase functionality. I think that a space like a laundry room or a walk-in closet where you can put a ladder, a bike, a suitcase, skis, whatever you need, right? We know that we have different interests, we store different things, and it's hard to function in a small space when you have all those things constantly in sight. And when we can hide them in a storage room or a walk-in closet and have a nice aesthetic space here, it looks so much better.
See you in the next videos. Bye.